Lush, and I'm here inside the Hub Culture Austin Pavilion with Kay Koplovitz, co-founder of Springboard Enterprise, among other things.
Yes, it's an evolution of a journey of my own, I guess you might say, because I started my career in television. Created, actually, as a founder of USA Network and the Sci-Fi Channel, and created a multi-billion-dollar business. So I really like big, and I like to see people, especially women, be able to grow sustainable businesses that are large and sustainable over time. So
tell me how Springboard is doing that, and what do you think is the unique part of what you're doing?
Well, when we started Springboard back in 1999, President Clinton had asked me to chair the National Women's Business Council. And that was really to report to Congress on the progress of women-led businesses, a lot for procurement for the federal government, but just in general, report to Congress. Well, that wasn't really, I could say it really didn't quite float my boat in a sense, because I like to build and I like to do something. So what could we do that would really make a difference? And I started looking around and saw $104 billion in venture capital pouring over the trend. Some people were drinking with a fire hose and no women.
Right.
And I've seen that movie before about no women getting funding.
Right.
And so I said, we got to do something about this. So we went to Silicon Valley because, after all, that's a mecca of venture capital. And people told us, well, there aren't any women. No, we don't ever see them. They don't ever come to pitch us. We don't. So I realized at that time it really wasn't a rejection of women. There was just no connection for women.
Yeah.
So women weren't there. So we decided, let's see if we can find them. We did a call out. That call out returned 350 applications when we were expecting maybe only 100. We were overwhelmed, and I realized right then we had a vastly underfunded and potentially overperforming asset class in women entrepreneurs in technology and life sciences. And those are areas where you have to raise equity capital in order to grow those businesses. They're very difficult to grow organically because they don't have early revenue.
So you think big. Tell me about some of the success stories that you've seen, and in terms of still in business, turnover, those kind of metrics.
Well, since that first class, in which we ultimately selected 26 companies to present in January of 2000, I'm pleased to say that 22 of them got funded. 2 other ones merged their business because they were virtually in the same software SaaS business, and one woman sold her business and one wasn't funded. This was extraordinary. I think nobody expected, including us, expected to have such a success story out of the first demo day. So we've been doing that ever since. I don't think anyone really expected that. Wonderful results out of the first demo day, and we've been doing that ever since. So since 2000, we've been working with women, identifying women in all areas of technology and in life sciences, and bringing through a program, teaching them how to raise capital and taking them out to market. And then we stay with them to liquidity events. So we're with these companies all the way through the different growth stages. We're a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is really human capital. It is a vast infusion of human capital. So we have now over 5,000 experts, lawyers, accountants, experts, entrepreneurs, people who have, and investors who have really, influencers who work with these companies at the right stage. We can identify who to connect them to. That is really a really important part of the growth cycle. To date, 86% of these companies get funding, and 81% of them are in business today over all 18 years. There is nothing that can match that, which says to me that women really do perform if they have the right opportunities. And so our mission, and my personal mission, is to get women to parity in raising capital, because women know what to do with that capital, they know how to invest it. So we look for certain characteristics among these entrepreneurs. First of all, we're looking for someone who has a vision that is of a company that can really scale, because that's what we're about. So scaling in technology or life sciences. Then we look for, do they exhibit any execution skills Have they done something that says to us that they can execute on a vision, that they can build an A team, that they can access the really talented people that are needed around them, and that includes advisors that they could have on their early team, and then we say they have to be extraordinarily agile. They have to learn and adapt very quickly, and those are the attributes we look for to determine whether we think this particular entrepreneur is one that can really scale these businesses. And so it's very exciting to see now over 700 companies in all these different fields, whether it's software engineering, whether it's media tech, whether it's fashion tech, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's 3D printing, whether it's all these different things, or biotech devices, diagnostics, and healthcare IT, which I think in the next 20 years is going to be a real revolution in healthcare IT. And so women are going to lead the way in some of these categories because women are the ones that deal with it. They know where the friction is. They know what they need to do to take the friction out of these systems. It's very, very exciting. About 100 of the companies are from outside the United States, and the international is really growing. Well, for about 10 years, we've been recruiting companies out of Israel, and we started a program in Australia 5 years. We're going to our 6th year this year in Australia. Already, we've had a number of companies that have reached the liquidity event, sold. We have 2 publicly listed companies in Australia, and we also have a unicorn whose recent funding valued the company at over $1 billion. So we have several of those in different countries. The first IPO we had was 51 Job of China in 2004. And other companies that people perhaps would recognize easily are Zipcar, Constant Contact, Minute Clinic, which Minute Clinic was completely the change of CVS and what they're doing and becoming not a drugstore, but really an urgent care center, really very different. And companies like that are really changing really the way people think. We have a cure for, or not a cure, but a treatment for autism, first to market coming to market. We have tremendous changes coming in the retail business with a lot of women who are from artificial intelligence, machine learning, who are applying that to the changes in how the consumer really wants to purchase things. It's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
You get to really see the future coming down the pike. And for somebody like me who's really a futurist, it's like being in a candy store.
When do you think we'll stop talking about the need to invest in women and just have this question of gender parity, gender equality, the pay gap, have those issues just not an issue anymore?
It's an evolution over time, and I'd like to say there's a magic wand, but I do think we're at a point where there is a change. And it is because you're now reading a lot of research studies that say leadership qualities for the 21st century with the open communications processes that anyone can reach anyone. And so it's not sort of the hierarchical type of structure for building companies. It's a horizontal one today. And women excel in the types of skills of communication, transparency, openness, inclusion, empathy that is really important in this type of environment. And that's where we're going in the 21st century. So including women and all different kinds of people with different backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, nationalities. I think in addition to being women are really important for the 21st century building to have this diverse position for not only entrepreneurs but the investors and the companies. So you're seeing corporations trying to bring in these type of leadership skills. And in fact, at Springboard, we actually conduct sessions for senior executives on what working with people, an agile workforce really means. And it's a lot of fun and a great opportunity to help people who are executives actually learn the agile lifestyle and how you really have to focus and bring your team along with a very diversified background. And you have to, because the diversified workforce is there today. So I think we're in a good place right now for changes to take place. They don't happen overnight. People talk about women on boards, I've been on public boards for almost 30 years now. It's changed a lot. It almost was like an honorarium when I first started.
Right.
And it's not that anymore. Board members really work. It's probably 250 hours of work a year on a public board. Women's voices on public boards or private equity boards are really important for the understanding. Women actually dig down more into the actual questions and the thought process and have a different way of thinking. We're a little bit more, generally speaking, 360-degree thinking. We're thinking because that's how we lead our lives. Our lives are full of lots of things we have to bring into our lives to make decisions, not so much just straight A to B. And so that discussion process really has shown that this diversified board composition leads to better results. And so, but not that many board seats turn over every year. Only 7% of the board seats turn over. And there are only about half the number of public boards today than there were 20 years ago in the United States. So there are fewer boards that are public and few seats that turn over every year. So last year in the United States, close to 30% of the new seats went to women. But still, it's a small percentage of the seats that are occupied. So there's just an evolution that has to take place.
Okay, Kay, thank you very much for stopping by Hub Culture.
Okay.
Giving your thoughts, and I'm Edie Lush.